Hello, citizens, and welcome back to Find Your Org, a show where I help you discover organizations in Star Citizen and hopefully help you find the right fit. Today, I'm going to be meeting with First Impact from International Space Defense. So, First Impact, welcome. Happy to have you on the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So, happy to get on with the first question?
Absolutely. Hit me.
All right, let's go. So, can you introduce yourself and give us a brief introduction to your organization?
Sure. So, hi, I'm First Impact, and I'm the founder of the International Space Defense. It's a hireable PvP security org that operates in US and EU time zones.
Very quick and nice introduction. I had a random follow-up question on this during our entire interaction. Why international and not interstellar?
Oh, you know what? I do hear this a lot. It's more than... I think of it not in like the game sense, but as in the people sense. So international as in we have members from all over the globe.
Makes sense to me. So moving on to question number 2, how would you describe your organization's mission and playstyle?
I think the best way to describe us is to think of us like the Med Runner's 2-player security, maybe. And I know that could invoke all kinds of like thoughts and emotions since they're no strangers to controversy. But what I mean is they've very much made their mark in Star Citizen. And at the end of the day, they're synonymous with medical gameplay. So our mission is to keep the client safe while they go about the business and get paid for a job well done, but also be known and be synonymous with security gameplay. That's the aim.
That's a very lofty goal.
Well, got to aim somewhere. And, I don't think we are anything like the Med Runners to security yet, but that is my dream of what this org could be.
Well, as with everything, reputation takes time to build.
Absolutely, yes, it does.
Yeah, moving on to question number 3. How is your organization structured in terms of ranks, divisions, and leadership roles?
Okay, I think I'll start from like the entry level of the org. So this is where you would come into, say, the Discord server and you would choose your division. There's the frontline infantry, the combat pilots, the naval personnel, but these sort of act purely as a person's identity within the org, and they don't lock you out of other gameplay. Like, I'm more than happy to see a pilot on the ground and infantry crew in the capitals, since Star Citizen is such a dynamic game, and I wouldn't dream of gatekeeping certain playstyles based on arbitrary roles. They just serve to show us your personal preferences. After ranking up once, we allow people to apply to be a field officer, or join the Special Assault Force, which is like our hardcore branch of the INSD. But these are only 2 parts of the org where I like to turn up things in terms of seriousness. Otherwise, anybody would find the org fairly casual for the most part. So, starting with the field officers, they act as our liaison for the client and are in charge of the assigned squad to the client. Then, going above that, we have the divisional leaders, whose job it is to help me moderate the channels and keep me aware of any issues and also help me make important decisions. And then lastly, there's me. I'm going to say it now, I'm totally not the dictator, but I am the only one who's really got kicking and banning powers. I mean, I've ran a group in the past where a good friend of mine decided that he was going to nuke the server and just ban everyone because he thought it'd be funny. So instead, I give the team like strong moderation tools, but ultimately, I'm the only one that's got banning powers, and that's just because it's been a tough lesson for me to learn in past.
Right, makes sense. Is that it?
Yes, that's it.
That was fast. You're really concise, quick, and prepared. I like that. I like that. So moving on to question number 4. What are some of the biggest challenges you face as a leader?
You know what? Burnout is probably the biggest challenge that anyone will ever face after they got past the first hurdle of consistently recruiting members. Then there's turnover rates and the requirement to constantly improve. I mean, thinking about it, so 5 years ago, we were just an org that mucked around and did our own thing with no real goal. However, I did notice that our retention was pretty much in the dirt. 2 years after that, I decided to rebrand us to have a clear call to action. In this case, we were going to be player security and attend to clients.
Right. Yeah. Well, episode 5, and this comes up in every episode. It's burnout, retention, and turnover, and generally, time and energy management, and then finally the game being the game sometimes.
Yeah. So yeah, the main thing was the call to action, and it took a while for the transition to be really accepted by the existing members. But today, I 100% believe it was the right thing to do, for sure.
Absolutely. And it's important as an organization to have that initial nudge in a direction and a general sense of where we're heading.
Yeah. And, it can be simple as like, you get groups that are all about piracy. And that's their call to action. We're going to go raid somebody's ship. Or we're an industrial org and we're going to do mining Monday and trading Tuesday. It's, they're all good call to actions, and we just chose this one. There is a lot of orgs that will just go off and do everything. And some of them have flourished with that. But for me, I needed a strong call to action, and I think it's really helped.
Yeah, and obviously, some organizations might want to be multi-focused, some want to be specialists at one thing, and there's nothing wrong with either approach, whatever really works for them.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not here to say that it doesn't work, because it clearly does. It's just a direction that we've chosen.
All right, moving on to question number 5, somewhat related to what you talked about a minute ago. How do you handle conflicts or disputes within the organization?
Yeah, that is a tricky one, and I imagine there is a lot of answers to it. But personally, I always believe there's like 3 sides to the argument, if not more. If complex things are going on, and they always are, and it's usually going on under the surface, and I think people are too quick to jump onto the idea that one person is right and one person is wrong. Normally, it can just be like playstyle differences. Somebody who wants to be an extremely good pilot doesn't want a wingman with 0 experience. But, that's generally solved by in-org friend groups, and in our case, we've got the SAF branch, so we've got the hardcore side. So those guys can mix as they see fit. But for more serious cases, I prefer to listen to both sides one-on-one, so I can get their unfiltered opinions. Sometimes the solution becomes pretty obvious, and in other times, there's no solution even required, and it's just enough to get things off the chest. So in the rare cases where it's still not solved, then I consider myself more as a collaborator rather than like to put down the discipline. Like, I've been told my tolerance for bullshit is quite high, and I'd rather help than resort to kicking,
Right.
And to this day, I've only ever banned 11 people in 5 years, and half of those were bots and griefers.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good statistic. I absolutely agree. I always say, at the level where we are, the baseline expectation is that we're all adults and we can behave as such. And generally, that is enough to resolve or even prevent most conflicts. And when things do boil over, again, most of the time, talking it out and listening to both sides helps and fixes the problem. And there's no more radical solution ever needed.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so rare that it's just unresolvable. But sometimes it is just enough, I guess, to have somebody high up in the org or somebody who's actually running the org to just go, like, I've got time to listen to this and I really want to help solve it.
All right, so let's move back to activities and onboarding new members. So question number 6, how do you onboard and train new members?
So we're super chill when it comes to training as such. So we have options for like joining the hardcore SAF and that, but my view is, would we rather have an extra gun or not? So really, we onboard with experience. The clients are always informed and can easily see if they have new recruits who want to take on their contract, and they can always join us for our own group gameplay. I'd say that we're a friendly bunch, and I'd like to think there's a good atmosphere in the voice channels, and we always make sure that nobody is forgotten about.
Right, that's very important. So moving on to question number 7, and I think it's going to be a very simple answer again. So what kind of in-game activities does your org focus on?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Pretty much covered already, isn't it? But okay, to elaborate a little, then PvP security is our main focus. And sure, we have people who do other gameplay like Stormbreaker or general industrial loops, but like I say, we're not an org that does everything. And I think people join us for that specific idea, and that's what takes precedence.
Sort of a follow-up question that's brushing into some questions that are coming up, but as the game develops and cost of maintenance and generally operating costs are starting to become a factor, do you think you'll be able to cover your expenses essentially just by contracting, or do you think you will have to eventually raise some kind of a industrial / manufacturing mini division just to cover your baseline maintenance, manufacturing of ammunition, that kind of stuff?
It's a tricky one to prepare for because we just don't know what that looks like yet. So I'll say that, okay, we've got an org bank, and this has been running for many, many years now. In fact, because I can find out the details of this.
Oh, there is a spreadsheet.
Oh yeah, we got the spreadsheet with everything. This was created in 2022. So yeah, it's been running for running for over 3 years now. And all the money goes to my account and then it's separated. So I can tell you with utmost certainty that the total money we've ever earned is 1,311,333,059 AUEC.
Nice.
We've paid out 818,851,695 AUEC.
I think that's a pretty good margin.
Yes, I think it's pretty good. I don't like to hold on to AUEC. I'd much rather it be in the members' pockets. So if I can get it out there, then I will. Because, for instance, this is another statistic, or just another fact to this, is that we have lost 402,763,373 AUEC just to patch wipes.
How many wipes have there been since 2022? It's like 3? I think 3 full wipes? 4, maybe?
I think there's been more than that. It used to be a patch wipe every single patch.
That's true, but that hasn't been the case for a long time now.
No, not for a couple of years at least. I don't know exactly when, but I know patch wipes have slowed down, but also the amount of money that we've brought in has increased. So we used to lose a lot, but now we lose a little bit.
Yeah, well, persistence is not where it needs to be. Every patch, someone loses some items, some ships, some money. For me, money has been the only thing that stays. I keep losing like 70% of all my items every patch.
Yeah, it does happen. But going into worrying about income and stuff like that, up until recently, I would say most of our income came from our members' donations. So if I look at Ghost Hollow when that was active, we only ever made in total 6.7 million. If we look at, let me put, what is it? Jumptown. We made 15.6 million out of Jumptown. But then I look just below that, and we've got a member who's donated 21.2 million. So the donations have really drive this. Up until recently, in fact, I will say that last night we were contracted for a massive event, and he paid us 300 million for that. So suddenly, it's the donations versus the client income is evening out.
And I mean, we can't forget that, once org tools and all that stuff is coming in officially, an official org bank, if you remember, there's going to be an org tax. So every piece of, every mission, all the money you earn from anything, there's going to be some percentage that goes to your main organization. So that's sort of a passive, quote unquote, income for the organization without actually having to do anything, just by having their members do something on their own.
You know what? If I could help it, I think I'd just remove that. I don't think people like being taxed, but people do like to contribute to their org, which is why I think we've seen so much of our income has come from donations, because people want to see their org doing better and they want to be a part of it.
Makes sense. So let's move on to question number 8. And we talked about this in the pre-briefing. Do you collaborate with other organizations for community events, battles?
Yeah, all the time. So we work with a bunch of industrial orgs to reinforce their own security. The system tends to be that myself and the team will have a discussion, and we'll have myself or a single field officer maintain the communication and work from the mission brief. I don't think people like it when you ask a team to invade another person's Discord server. So we like to keep things nice and autonomous, but with the option to let us know if plans change. And also, don't tell anyone this, but we even collaborate with pirates. Like I've always said, if you want to know how to be a good pirate, ask an industrial org. And if you want to know how to be a good defender, ask the pirates. So that's exactly what I do.
All right, that's an interesting thought. I didn't think of that, to be honest.
It's given me a lot of food for thought, especially like tactics that you would never have thought of before. I'm pretty sure it was a pirate that told me that dragonflies are the scourge of capital ships. And this is before we even had capitals in the game. Like I think they brought in the Idris for what's it now? The Arlington gang?
Or Arlington or Xenothreat, they had an address. That could be boarded.
And then it was the pirates who were bringing in a dragonfly to shoot open the back and fly into the hangar. And even today, that's very difficult to detect. But we're aware of it, which means we can work on it.
I think I heard about that. I think someone told me about that whole dragonfly thing before you. Not so long ago, though. Not so long ago.
It's funny because it's so unassuming. And how would you even get a dragonfly in deep space? Well, I mean, there's obviously methods, but it's just the fact it is so hard to detect. It basically has no detection radius, which is what makes it so good and makes it so viable.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so moving on to question number 9 and going back to those leadership difficulties. So how do you keep members engaged and active over time, especially between patches when things slow down?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? That's the answer we all want. But when people stop playing and contracts dry up, then I suppose we work on progression. Getting the good gear from the tough places, which is only possible with a solid team. And after that's done, it may come down to the next reason, which is it's a nice place to hang out and have a laugh. But if it's a particularly rough time, then we may see small periods where we just all take some time away from the game. After all, we are all fighting burnout, especially if you're the leader of a group like this. And I think all but the biggest groups will see pre-patch blues kicking in at some point. But based on similar-sized orgs to ours, I'd say that actually we're one of the last to see that kind of thing kick in.
Okay. And I think, with the monthly patch cycle we have this year and quite likely next year, I think that alleviates the worst of the issue that we saw before with quarterly patches, where basically the month before the next patch, when maybe PTU was already out, you would see very little activity on live because everyone already completed the new content and there was really nothing more to do, maybe besides play PTU if you had access to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And these new content drops are they're good, but they are story-based contracts, really, aren't they? Or even the worms and stuff like that. Once you've done it a few times, I think you've kind of just done it, and there's not much more you can really get from it. Whereas, let's say, executive hangars, that has been such a big driver for our client base, and it's still going. It's still the main thing. Even with all this new stuff that's been put in, people are still asking for executive hangar security. So if there's one thing Cloud Imperium has done right, it was that.
I only had a few runs with executive hangars and contested zones, but it's really good content and the loot is very interesting. I wish it was more reliable because it does have a lot of issues currently. I wish some of the exploits were fixed, but generally, the core idea is pretty solid with notes. But more on that in a very long video I published a long time ago. Okay, So moving on to questions of the future. So where do you see your organization in the next few years as Star Citizen develops?
I see us staying true to the course that we're on now. I don't think we've got absolutely everything figured out, but then again, there's a lot of things that will only work as we become bigger. For instance, would it make sense for us to have a dedicated dispatcher role right now? Definitely not. We don't have so many clients and so many members that it's just constant. So right now we can still take the time and sort things out properly. But like I say, I'm constantly looking for the next improvement to make to the org, but I don't see things changing that wildly from where it is right now.
Yeah, makes sense. And moving on to question number 11, how do you think Star Citizen's progress is going to impact your org's playstyle?
So one of the things we're big on is that we don't do what looks cool, but rather what is the meta. So I've seen allies in the past decide that they're going to use ballistas to hold an area, for instance, and they used to be really great. Like, if you got within 1.2 kilometers of a ballista, it was instant kill. But since they added, like, missile acceleration, I've never seen them work better than just having another light fighter in the area. So, I suppose my point being, though, is that Star Citizen changes with things like FPS, radar, like engineering, new ships, and other features. And we're very dynamic and we'll always choose what works best.
Speaking of, ballistas, I used to be a big fan of the ballista. But then, like you said, as missile changes rolled in and general radar changes rolled in, it kind of was left in a vacuum because I'm sure you know, missile range in Star Citizen, for the most part, 10 to 20 kilometers. Not really great for air defense.
No, I mean, you have like a minute to be able to deal with that. You just sat on the ground with looking at your watch going, right, has it hit yet? Has it hit yet? 30 seconds later, oh, he's decided to pop a few flares and he's off.
However, since then, I have become a huge fan of the Centurion because what could go wrong if you strap a hammerhead turret on the back of a truck?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so we tried out Centurions before. I think what we liked most about it at the time was that if you had an A2 coming over, the Centurion was already in prime position and shooting at the A2, that as soon as the bomb came out, it blew up. And that happened a lot. I think anything outside of that, though, I mean, it's got the low detection radius, which is a plus, and you've got to hope that they come close. You are trading mobility for that surprise element. You gotta hope that helps it survive.
And generally, it does require two people, so maybe you would be better off having those guys in the two light fighters, or maybe something with a turret. So, as with everything, it's a trade-off.
Two people is in like somebody with logistics.
Well, you need a driver and a gunner if you want to retain mobility. If you don't care about mobility, you can have one person juggle both roles. Depends, on the numbers you have, on what you want from it.
Honestly, I think the worst thing about ground vehicles, even if they were viable, and they really should be, like the effort it takes for it to get down there, that is the problem with them, is that it takes time and effort. And time and friction to get things done is probably the scourge of any organization. Like, we have a rule that we are to be battle ready within 20 minutes of an event start. So many times we've been part of like multi-org things and we've had to wait for the other partner to be ready and it's taken them over an hour, and it's nobody likes that. And things like ground vehicles, they add friction. So you gotta hope the payoff is so much bigger than just a hammerhead turret stuck on the ground.
Yeah, I think the big improvement for vehicles and the friction with using vehicles is going to be once we're able to load them while you're spawning your ship. So it kind of happens under the elevator, so to speak. And then, signature and radar improvements and general driving physics improvements, because let's be honest, it's not fun to drive a ballista around.
Yeah. No, it'll certainly help. But then looking at capitals right now, that's another piece of friction. Just getting everybody in one place at the same time can be quite difficult, surprisingly so. So just having a swarm of fighters is often just so much quicker and so much more effective.
And you see, this issue of getting people in one place for the setup. If we only have 3 systems right now, and it's already becoming difficult. So how is that complexity going to increase once we have 5, 10 systems, and you have to do multiple jump point transitions to get from point A to point B?
Yeah, it's going to become worse. You would hope that there is some kind of teleportation that's going to happen. I mean, right now you backspace and hopefully you end up back where you need to go. It's like if I'm in Stanton and I've got my home system set up in Pyro, it's all right, backspace, teleport straight there.
Okay, so let's move on to the final and most important question. Why should someone join your organization?
If you enjoy PvP action and want to contribute some good to the verse while getting paid to do it, then I think maybe the INSD is for you. Not to say that there aren't other options out there. For instance, we work closely with other orgs like Darksaber and Fenrir Operations Group, and more recently Trident Security. And they're all very good. And we've worked well together on past events. So I suppose it comes down to the vibe and what you like. So, for instance, if you like the corporate vibe, then maybe Darksaber's for you. If you like to get down and gritty with tactical gameplay, then Fenrir might be more for you. And I say the INSD is fairly relaxed in those regards, since my main focus is facilitating this MedRunner-like infrastructure and bringing new clients and, sort of becoming the name in PvP security.
Well, there you have it. You advertised yourself and a whole bunch of other orgs in one answer.
Absolutely. I'm not trying to say that we're the only ones doing it. And at the end of the day, I think these interviews are about finding the right org for the person watching. So absolutely, and check them all out, or check only one of them out if you like the sound of them. But they're all good.
And that's the entire purpose of this show. Well, that was our final question. Any closing thoughts?
I suppose closing thought, it's been a real pleasure speaking to you. And I've been watching the channel a little bit, and I'm really thankful that you've given me this chance to come on.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to have you. I'm happy to interview pretty much orgs of any size, as long as they're active and they have something to contribute to the show. And yeah, very happy to have you on the show finally after a lot of scheduling issues. And yeah, thank you for the interview.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you again, First Impact, for the great interview. If you like the International Space Defense, all their links are in the description, so feel free to check them out. If you would like me to feature your organization on the show, feel free to reach out to me via email or Discord or any other platform, and we will get you set up. Thank you for watching, fly safe, and I will see you in the verse.